Being thankful. Now I'm going to continue talking about this book, A Love Worth Giving. And there's a few things that I want you to think about. Let me say this, because there's a lot of things going on in my mind here, so it's kind of like a lot of things at once. First of all, people say, well, when you eat, you should thank God. Okay, they're absolutely right. If you're eating, you should be thanking God. Why? Because He gave you an ability to earn the money to get the food you were going to eat. He made sure the food was in the store so you could eat it. He also made sure that you were able to eat the food and digest the food. Let me tell you something. You can't digest that food. You're gonna be really thanking God for making it possible for you to digest food. I'm telling you. Yeah, you get one stomach ailment, you'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, all this other stuff, okay? But one of the things I wanted to say is, you can't say to a farmer, well, it's God's grace that made all your crops grow. Okay? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yes, the farmer got the seeds from God. Yes, he got the fertile soil from God so that you could actually grow the food. But if the farmer had not planted the seeds to grow the crops, what would happen? And if he hadn't tended to those plants so those plants would grow up healthy, those crops wouldn't have grown. It's that simple. If the farmer doesn't put the fertilizer on the ground, and he doesn't put the insecticide on the ground to keep the bugs from getting into the crops, and he doesn't build the fence that keeps all the vermin from getting to the crops before you do, you ain't gonna have very many crops now, are you? So I say, first of all, I don't just thank God for all the food I'm eating, and I don't just thank God for all the meat that I get and all the, so on and so forth. I also thank the farmer, the butcher, the store clerk that stocked the shelves. Yeah, you go in these stores all the time, you buy all this merchandise out of the stores, but you never thank the store clerk for putting them on the shelves. Let me tell you something. I've been in retail for 20 years. That is a very thankless job. Oh, will they get employee of the month? Maybe. Maybe. If they're really lucky. If they don't, it's just a very thankless job. I can tell you that right now. Sometimes you'll get an attaboy, but most of the time you won't. Trust me on this. So, and I'm talking especially with gas stations. I used to work for a gas station. I can tell you how thankless of a job that is. Right. So, my answer to you is this. When you stand there and you go before the throne of God and you say, hey, I want to thank you for all the food I've eaten this morning. Don't just say, I want to thank you for the food. You say, I thank you for bringing these farmers in the world to plant those crops so I can eat. I thank you for the butchers of the world to get the meat prepared so I can cook it without being contaminated with all sorts of botulisms and stuff. I want to thank you for sending store clerks down to stock the shelves so I'll actually have merchandise to buy. I want to thank the companies that actually built the stores out in these areas so I'd have some place to shop. Do you ever think about that? Of course not. You don't think about things like that. Let me tell you something. You really want to thank the store clerk for giving you good service. Go to the manager. Say, this store clerk is a nice guy. He's great. He's fantastic. I'm glad he's here. If you don't do that, that store clerk will eventually go away. Then you have a real bad store clerk and you go, oh my gosh, why did I have to deal with this? If you have a good manager, you say, hey, we got a good manager here. I want this one to stay. If you don't, that one's going to go away. You're going to end up with a real bad manager. See what I mean? So don't just be going before the throne of God and saying, well, I thank you, Lord, for everything. Because God didn't have all of it to do with it. He just plays the biggest part. Let me say that again. God plays the biggest part, but He didn't have everything to do with it. Let me tell you something. God doesn't stock the store shelves. God doesn't plant the seeds into the soil. Okay? God's not the one who butchers up your meat and gets it ready for you to eat. People do that. God just makes sure that there's sunshine and the rain falls and the soil is rich in minerals so you guys can have your food and so on and so forth. So God's on the top of the list. Believe me, there are people underneath that list. Let me tell you something. When you go to that gas station, keep in mind that God's not the one pumping your gas. I think that's something that a lot of people have forgotten over the years. You know, at one time, those service stations weren't self-service. There were actual people out there that used to pump your gas for you so you wouldn't have to smell like petroleum. You don't think about it now, but back in the day, that's exactly what happened. I mean, gee, you're headed off for a picnic and now your hands are smelling like gasoline because you had to pump your own gas. That's because you never thanked those people and said, hey, I'm glad that they're pumping my gas for me so I don't have to smell like petroleum as I try to eat my picnic dinner. You never thought about that, did you? That's something you should be thinking about. If you have a full service station where the guy actually pumps your gas for you, be thankful for it. Don't be gripey because you have to pay 5 extra cents a gallon. Be thankful for that. Because at least that way you don't have to smell like gasoline when you come back home in your house. You ever thought about that? Let me tell you something. Be thankful to your photographer when he makes you look good. Because otherwise he'll say, I don't care. He'll just give you the crummiest pictures you've ever seen in your life. Then you get all mad because he gave you crummy pictures. Well, that's because you never thanked him for the good ones you got from him. That's the truth. If you don't thank the cosmetician for making you look good, the next time you come into the store, she's going to sell you whatever she can, and then you're not going to look as good, and then you're going to get mad at her because she didn't help you look good. Or smell good. Let me tell you something. If you don't smell real good, you're going to be in real bad shape. So, thanking God is the first step. Then you have to thank other people at the same time. Alright? So, being a thankful person is more than just thanking God. You have to thank God for the people that have been brought into your life to make all this stuff possible. Even if you don't necessarily agree with the morals and values of those people, you can still be thankful that they're even around. But let me tell you something. You get a crummy, garbage-filled store clerk one time, or some crummy farmer that doesn't want to do diddly squat, or how about the military? Now that's another thing. These kids, they take it for granted all these freedoms we have. Why don't you start saluting your soldiers when they come into your store and saying, hey, I'm glad you served me. Because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be in that store. You'd be under a communist rule or socialist rule or some kind of dictator rule. If you have a good politician, he fights for you, you fight for him. Now here's another example of thankfulness. Now I want to give this to you. I have been hunting down, looking for Lincoln Heritage Coalition signs all over central Illinois, and I'm going to eventually go to northern and southern Illinois to find the rest of them, okay? I've already actually been to Vandalia. Eventually I'm going to go to Jonesboro, so on and so forth. Now, very few people even thank me for that. Some people have, but not a whole lot, okay? But here's the thing. Ruth Cobb and the principal of the Thomas Metcalf School, they did something for me. It wasn't expensive, but they did it. The principal of the Thomas Metcalf School left her school, walked across the street, and took a picture of the sign that was very close to her location. I told her where it was. She went out there, she took a picture of it, and bam! I knew then exactly where it was, and I even knew that it was actually there because I actually saw the picture. She emailed it to me. It didn't cost her a thing. All she did was walk. She took 5 minutes out of her day, walked out there, took a picture, and walked back, and emailed it to me. That was about 5 to 10 minutes worth of work. It really wasn't that big of a deal. And this Ruth Cobb, she took pictures of the remaining signs I needed to find, and she emailed those pictures to me. 10 minutes worth of work. Boom, I had the information. And I was then therefore able to go out there and videotape those signs for her. Now here's the ironic part. I have been sending emails to different teachers of the Ottawa School District. So far, I have not heard anything back from them, but that's just so far. I'm hoping that they will then email me back and give me the information I need about the one sign out in Ottawa that I'm having a problem getting even a picture of. I need to know that it's there and exactly where it is so I can get out there and videotape it. If they do email me back, okay, and I'm pretty sure they will eventually, at least I hope so. If they do email me back, then I'll go up there, videotape the sign, and personally thank them on the air, just like I did when I went to Bloomington. I thanked Ruth Cobb. I thanked the principal of Thomas Metcalf School. I will do the same for them. I will personally thank them right there on the air. Total gratitude. If they don't, they don't. There's a place called JJ's Pub. It is also in Ottawa. I've made them aware of the situation. They liked all the things I was doing. So far, none of them have gone out to help me out. If they do, I will, on the air, thank them. So it's really up to them. If they want an on-the-air thank you and recognition for doing this, all they have to do is go out there, find that sign, take a picture of it, say, hey, it's here, this is where it's at, boom. That's all. I'm not asking them to go clear out to Timbuktu. The sign that I'm talking about is less than a mile from either one of those places. Less than a mile. You go 1 mile, you find the sign, take a picture of it, boom. That would be probably about $1 worth of gas. $1 worth of gas. That's about it. Probably not even that much. To get that kind of recognition worldwide just for doing that. So I'm encouraging this Ottawa High School and JJ's Pub right now. I'm encouraging you to go out there, find the sign. The first person who does it takes that picture and sends it to me and lets me know where it is. I guarantee you by the end of the summer you will have recognition from me to you for doing that. I did it for Bloomington and I'll do it for you. There are churches and Christians out there right now living very close to these looking for Lincoln signs. I'm not asking you to go to Timbuktu to find these things. I'm asking you to go a few hundred feet, take a picture, send it back to me. You want gratitude, take that little effort, and boom, you'll get it. That's what I'm talking about. You don't have to do anything massive, but preparing a sandwich is not enough. Oh, well, I prepared a sandwich for this homeless person that's like 30 feet away. You do that, God's going to say, well, there's your little coin. Bing! You go a little bit further, and you'll get more. I will even say there's a place called Everything and the Kitchen Sink in Quincy, Illinois. They are very close to their park. They got a big old park out there. I believe it's Washington Park, if I remember right. They have a big old Washington Park. If any of those employees were to go out there to that park, we're not talking about massive amount of traveling here. We're talking about maybe 3 blocks, 4 tops, and go around the block, all the way around, front to back, and take pictures of every one of the signs around there. There's like 10 or 12 signs. I need pictures of them. And email those pictures back to me, which would take them about maybe half an hour at most. I'm not asking to go out to the outlying areas. We'll find people that are in those outlying areas. We'll get them to help me out there too. We're not asking people to go out to a massive whatever. We're asking people to just go do a little something. Alright, so you go 4 blocks, you go around the block, take some pictures, send them back to me. I will personally thank you on the air. You'll get recognition for doing that. I'm giving you some recognition right now because I want you to know that I really want you to do this. But if you want more recognition, you want me to thank you, all you have to do is do that. It's a little bit out of your day, but hey, for international recognition, it's worth it. You want to increase your business? This is the way to do it. It'll make you look real good. You can say, hey man, I did this. I went out, I found these things for this guy, and because of that, I now got international recognition. So it's up to you. You drop a little bit of water there, and boom, it might produce a big old crop. Let me tell you something. You give a plant a little drink of water, and that plant will grow up, and it will love you for it. Same thing here. So, instead of picking up the jar of peanut butter and making a peanut butter sandwich for that homeless guy down the street that may or may not appreciate you, and God may give you a little something because you did it, I kind of have to do this because after all, she did make the peanut butter sandwich for this guy. Click. Do something like that. I'm not asking for miracles here. I'm saying that's the way you can go. Alright? Anyway, that's all I've got to say for today. Hopefully you've gotten the real message here. Sometimes you can do things, you know, it's just like muscular dystrophy. The Muscular Dystrophy Association, they wanted us to sell shamrocks. Okay? So I have sold a lot of shamrocks for them. And they said, well, we'll give you a t-shirt. I really don't want the t-shirt. It's nice, but I don't wear t-shirts like that. I'd much rather have the info on the Looking for Lincoln signs. They could do that for me. That would be a real reward. That'd be really nice. So, hopefully they'll help me out too. I don't know. We'll see. But in the meantime, just a little bit of effort can get you a lot of rewards. And if you don't believe me, you can take a look at the Clinton Apple and Pork Festival that I went to for 3 times in a row. I videotaped some of these businesses or whatever. They got immediate recognition. They have been seen worldwide, and their business has increased because of it. It's up to you. It's up to you. Alright. I will tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.